I think if you read the pink papers, and a lot of us do, it's tempting to think that there's a gold rush on right now in the internet. There's people occupying all spaces, and just like you see over here, there are no seats left on the bus. Every day you hear about capital being raised, more foreign investment in our country, and quite frankly, it puts pressure on people like myself because when you're in the industry, you realize that things have to take a natural shape and they will go on. What I learned and have learned over the course is that every digital business is merely a placeholder until the next disruption. And some of you in the room have seen cycles like that. In social networking, obviously the oft-quoted example where Friendster was a business that captured the public imagination. Today it's a gaming site, largely for social networking. It got replaced at the time by MySpace, which used music as a plank to get people connected. Today MySpace is one of the leading providers of music, but it's no longer in the leading social network. And then that got replaced by Facebook. And that's contemporary, everybody is on Facebook. But when I look out to some of the markets that we're exploring, like Indonesia and some other more emerging markets, I'm seeing that they've gone beyond Facebook. They look at Path, they look at a lot of other networks. They've essentially become too cool for Facebook. And that's why I say with all humility that each of us is a placeholder until the next disruption comes along. If you see it more currently, the other big behemoth in the industry, Google, which built an absolutely astonishing scale based on search and monetizing paid search, today is struggling because a lot of us are now working with apps. And there isn't a clear monetization on the apps platform, the Android platform, the iOS platform. There's no search, there's no paid search, and that's the core of what they do. So they're trying to reinvent themselves, disrupt themselves in a sense, to try and figure out how they take ownership of this new paradigm because browsers are not going to be where they used to be. So that's something that you need to take stock of, that it's never the case in technology that all is lost. And as a result, there's always room on the bus. What's happening though is that the big change is that information now is much more available, right? I mean, the information asymmetries that ruled businesses of the past, those gave you opportunities to build large scale. That's gone. All the answers are out there. You want to build an app, you can go online. You want to understand how to take advantage of an algo. We do a lot of that. PhDs that have written it go online. You've got to now know what questions to ask. There's almost too much information, and so that ceases to become an asset unless you know what to ask. And so my presentation is largely geared around asking the right questions, giving you a sense of what the internet holds as an opportunity, but really, what are the right questions that we need to ask? So the first question that I find attractive is, what problem are you solving? The obvious answers to that usually are some consumer pain point, and an issue that people face, which is very vocal. But oftentimes that's merely scratching the surface of where you need to be. And if you look at opportunities and industries like that, you often see that spaces are already taken. Everybody's occupied these spaces. And it looks like there's not a whole lot that you can bring in. Potentially today people are saying that you can't play e-commerce. Flipkart's too big, Snapdeal's too big. I guarantee you that's not going to be the case. It's companies that come in, disrupt, will start to carve out pieces of that, and you'll find that the people that have the gumption to figure out a problem that they're solving will make it work. And there's something in there that I think is not as well understood, and it's not people like myself that are in the industry that are bringing about this change. There's a lot of people that do philosophy and allied areas who are thinking very deeply about this. And what they're sensing is that while the rational opportunity of what you need to a large extent, is being satisfied, the emotional opportunity is not there. And so I'll give you, a few examples in terms of, it depends on, we were, the organizers were kind enough to, allow Uber rides for us over here. And those of you that took Uber or Ola or any of these ride-sharing apps understand that there's a convenience associated with it. And that's all well and good. That's the operating on the rational plane, arm's length of desire and all that. But when you look at the emotional opportunity that they seized, and I'd seen a very old paper on how Uber became prominent, it's not very different than how consumers were treated in India, like they're in the West, where you had to go up with caution to a taxi driver and say, "Ab loge kya?" Same thing that people do outside my house at Phoenix in the market, that you approach a taxi driver with caution, knowing that you're going to get rejected. And the opportunity that they looked at, the emotional opportunity, was putting the person back in control, putting your consumer back in control. Beyond that, tying up taxis, the logistics, they have, a very optimized algorithm that they work on. All of that is the ops of our business. But the key thing that they tapped into was the emotional need of a consumer. And given the lives that we lead today, with higher levels of stress, much, much less time for the things that we want to spend on, the emotional opportunity is immense. So whenever you all are looking at thinking about a business, if you can try and peel back the layer of the emotional opportunity, there's always space for businesses like ours. So being in the industry, I also talk to a lot of startups and early stage companies, and one of the things that worries me is that they're in a huge hurry to get on with things. And being on the wrong side of 40, obviously I'm seen as the slow-moving glacier, so to speak. And we're anything but in the way we run our business. However, the reason for caution, when you think of a startup, and if you don't invest in thinking about what problem you're solving, you'll realize that the digital world moves at an incredibly fast pace. It's very, very easy to get your first 500, 5,000 downloads. Then you start to figure out how to get to 50,000, and then you want to get to 500,000. At that point, if you're trying to figure out your business, you just don't have the bandwidth. You're trying to raise money, trying to add people, you're trying to think about how to manage your ops. If you haven't figured it out up front, you are not going to figure it out during the way. And so that's one caution that I give to people. You don't have to know the end state, but you have to absolutely know why you're in this business, and then that helps you along the way. And that brings me to why you play the game at all. I mean, I think that you have to take a deep look at yourself, understand that most people around you are as good as you, if not better, and you've got to be able to say, why you? Why are you the right person to run this business? And oftentimes the answer I get, which is the one I don't enjoy, is that I thought of this idea. That's a horrible reason to start a business, because it doesn't take very long in the internet for somebody else to see your idea, and people who are 10 times better placed than you to execute on it. So if you don't think about why you're the right person for this idea, you're destined to be creating a market for somebody else. And that's just not fun. So that's something to think about, and these are questions that I think are kind of important. The other area that I think that I find that people give more lip service to than real effort is, are you truly in love with your customers? You have to love them. And I don't use the word love loosely. You really have to want them to grow into the people that you're serving. So there's a brilliant article which talks about who do you want your customers to become. So it's very different than the thinking of, where's the opportunity, where's the need, what's the problem statement. This talks about your consumers are here, and if they use your service, they will go there. So who do you want them to become? And I was interested with Dr. Agnihotry's session because potentially the Fair and Lovely case study that he used was saying that you want them to become neurotic about themselves, you want them to become insecure, and that's, if you have to just answer that question, you can't be a responsible marketer and say that that's who I want them to become. And so to that extent, who you want them to become is now the new mantra, because that's what allows disruptors to enter markets where there's no need that exists. Music on the go, right from the Walkman, iPhone, whatever, all of those. All of those are talking about what you want your consumers to become, not what they need today. So that's interesting. And this is an important aspect of digital business. It's true everywhere, but more certainly in the digital world. I think as digital businesses, we make a lot of mistakes. We fundamentally run a lot of experiments. The reason we're able to scale as quickly as we can is you have to have a healthy amount of ego and customer intuition and understanding of what you're trying, and even more humility in knowing that you will get it wrong. You will get it wrong more times than you will get it right. And so you're continuously experimenting, as it were, on your customer base. And the truth is, they will forgive you. They will forget some of the things that you did, but they will never forget the way you made them feel. And so to that extent, if you can take that one core in terms of how you make these customers feel as your mission in life, you should be okay in the journey, because they give you a chance to get it right. You don't have to get it right away. So that's an important thought. The other question that we grapple with, I'll give you some examples. What are you willing to give away? I think that a lot of people who enter businesses look what they can extract from the customer. And honestly, the digital world is an extremely cruel place. I actually started my career at Nestle, and fine company in my view, by the way, and seems to have lost the plot a little bit, but we'll get on track. I'm confident of it. The reason I say the digital world is an extremely cruel place is back in the day, and they blood you in sales when I started off, and you go shop to shop. The mantra over there, while there is a brand being built, is, if any of you have done FMCG sales, is jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai. So essentially, you've got to keep it. As long as the consumer can see it, he will pick it up. And that's what you're focused on. The reason my journey to the internet proved and felt as cruel as it was that every consumer is just one click away from leaving. It's not the same as putting on a pressure cooker sale in Big Bazaar, getting the consumer in and then getting them to buy whatever the hell you want to. So in the internet, you're either on point or they're gone. And that's a very, very cruel way to operate, but it also makes you much sharper in terms of the way you want to engage with this individual. So the only currency that works as a result is value exchange. And I'll give you examples about what I mean by that. If you look at Facebook, for example, every time you enter Facebook, they are engaging in a value exchange. You are getting something out of it. The reason that they're as popular and as addictive as crack cocaine is that there is a value exchange every time you get on. And they engineer it as such. And I can't profess to understand what their long game is, but I think that that's very core to a service. If I bring it down to simple economics for a business like Shaadi.com, we have a large number of paid members, but we have even larger number of people that choose to stay free. One of the things our investors are continuously doing is saying, why don't you just make it a paid site? You'll lose, 50% of the people won't come, but make it paid only and you'll have a small paid network. The challenge for us, and that's, as a responsible business, is that 60% of our success stories come from people who are also free at some point in their life cycle. And so I could make a choice. I'd probably make more money also in terms of saying it's a paid-only site, but I would throttle the number of marriages that I'm supporting as a business. And that's when you start looking inside yourself as a business and say, what are you willing, what are you willing to give away? So that's something that you really need to look deep inside of yourself and think about. Not what are you going to get. You'll get a lot. What are you willing to give away? Those things are questions that should keep you up at night. Been given my 5-minute warning, so I put some KPIs because that was in my topic. But I'll tell you again, these are actually the real graph of Shaadi.com. I've hidden the numbers because we're still private. I can't share them with you. But if you see the 3 metrics that we care immensely about, we care about growth. So profiles per day, number of people that sign up with us, important metrics, right, to show upward growth. We obsess over connections per profile though. And you'll see the orange line moving higher than any of the others, because that is the reason we're in business. Not really to make money, but to make multiple people meet with the hope that more of them get married. And so you can see that line accelerates much faster than any of the others. The third metric that we obsessively track is revenue divided by cost of acquisition, which is an internal economic viability metric, which means that if I know that that metric keeps going up, I'm doing a better job than I did before. Very simple. While we have, the internet throws up tons of numbers and we have more data than, a lot of you folks that are doing modeling on trading systems and what have you, the fact of the matter is you've got to keep it simple to know whether you're headed in the right direction or not. Beyond that, the rest is just ops. Very quickly, where does the money go? The initial phase when you're starting up a business, more belief, a little bit more money on technology, you don't pay yourself as much, you don't have a very big team. As that idea grows out, through perseverance, you start to expand the level of the team, you start to expand your spends on marketing. When you start to approach steady state in an internet business, and I can't speak for all, but a lot of them that I know, when you look at them, out of every 100 rupees that you make, about 33 rupees will be on people. Another 33 rupees will be on marketing. Hopefully, if you're lucky, you're between 10 to 15 rupees on technology and some fixed costs. And that's where you make the margin. So largely people-oriented business, not a whole lot of inventory and capital, etc. And that's broadly the way these businesses grow. So I've been given my marching orders. And so I just want to tell you that while it's fun, it's exciting to run a business, there's no dearth of space for good ideas. If at first an idea is not absurd, then there will be no hope for it. I love that saying. And an idea that's not dangerous is unworthy of being called an idea at all. I love both these deeply because I think ideas are what will change our world. And there's never been a better time to be brave. So I encourage you all to try. Happy to take questions if we've got time. Thank you.